The most dangerous predators in America don't hide in the dark. They stand right behind you in the checkout line, deciding which brand of oat milk to buy, looking perfectly ordinary under buzzing fluorescent lights. They blend in, they wait, and usually nobody notices them until the zip ties are already tight. But on a humid Tuesday in Ohio, Logan Pierce was about to notice. Logan was a walking do not disturb sign. 6'4" of hardened muscle, wrapped in a weathered leather vest, a Hell's Angels patch on his back, fading like an old bruise. He wasn't in the grocery store to make friends. He was there for coffee, whiskey, and silence. He moved through the cereal aisle with the heavy, rhythmic thud of combat boots, a man who had spent 10 years trying to outrun a violent past. He grabbed a box of cornflakes. He turned, and the atmosphere in the aisle instantly curdled. Walking toward him was a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a country club. Cashmere polo, manicured nails, a smile that didn't reach his dead, shark-like eyes. Let's call him Alexander. Alexander was gripping the hand of a little girl, Mia, but it wasn't a handhold, it was a clamp. The contrast was sickening. Alexander was pristine, smelling of expensive cologne and entitlement. Mia was a ghost. Her pink dress was smeared with grime, her hair matted on one side, her eyes wide and hollowed out by exhaustion. Logan stepped aside to let them pass. He didn't care. Not his circus, not his monkeys. But as they brushed past, the girl didn't look at the floor. She locked eyes with Logan. She didn't blink. She didn't cry. She stared at the biker with the terrifying dissociated focus of a soldier who has seen too much. And then she did it, hand hanging by her side, shielded from Alexander's view by the fabric of her dress. Palm open, thumb tucked in, fingers folded down. Open, close. Signal for help. Logan froze. He'd seen the viral videos, but seeing it on a phone is one thing. Seeing a trembling 6-year-old throw the sign in the middle of the baking aisle is another. Logan looked closer. He saw faint yellow bruising on her wrist, peeking out from under a charm bracelet, too big for her. He saw Alexander's knuckles, white knuckling her hand. He wasn't walking with her. He was escorting a prisoner. The old Logan, the enforcer, wanted to shatter the guy's jaw against the shelf. The new Logan knew that would just get him arrested, and the girl vanished. He had to be smarter. He had to be surgical. Logan dropped his basket. The crash of cans on linoleum sounded like a gunshot. Alexander flinched, a crack in his perfect mask. He glared at Logan with pure, unadulterated disgust. "Watch it," Alexander sneered, his voice dripping with Ivy League arrogance. He pulled Mia tighter. Logan stepped into the center of the aisle, blocking the exit. He hooked his thumbs into his belt loops, biceps straining against his t-shirt. He didn't smile. "Cute kid," Logan rumbled. His voice was gravel, grinding on concrete. "She looks like she's seen a ghost." Alexander straightened up, trying to use his height, trying to look authoritative. "We're in a hurry. Move." "You're hurting her hand," Logan said. He wasn't asking. "Excuse me?" Alexander laughed, dry and incredulous. "Get out of my way, you piece of trash, or I'm calling the police." "Go ahead," Logan challenged. He took a slow step forward, invading Alexander's personal space. The smell of fear began to mix with the cologne. "Call him, or I can." Alexander's eyes darted to the exit. The arrogance faltered. He realized this wasn't a social interaction. It was a predator meeting a bigger predator. "You dropped something," Logan lied softly. "Reflex is a traitor." Alexander looked down. In that split second, Logan moved, fast as a striking cobra. Phone up, flash, a high-definition portrait of Alexander's face. "What the hell?" Alexander roared, lunging. "Sent," Logan said, cold, flat, to the sheriff, to the cloud, to everyone. "You run, you're guilty. You stay, you're finished." Alexander looked at the phone, then at the girl. The mask shattered. The rich dad facade dissolved, revealing the cornered rat underneath. He shoved the shopping cart at Logan's legs and bolted, leaving Mia standing alone in the aisle. "Run!" Logan roared, not chasing him. Logan dropped to one knee, wrapping his massive leather vest around the trembling girl. "I got you. You're safe." Chaos erupted. Sirens wailed outside. Logan had hit the silent alarm the second he dropped the basket. Blue lights washed over the cereal boxes. By the time the police tackled Alexander in the parking lot, Logan was sitting on the floor, letting Mia grip his thumb like a lifeline. She never spoke. She just held on. It should have been a happy ending. The bad guy was in cuffs. The girl was safe. But an hour later, the lead detective walked out of the manager's office. He looked pale. He walked straight to Logan, holding an evidence bag containing Alexander's wallet. "Mr. Pierce," the detective said, his voice barely a whisper. "We ran his prints. This guy, he isn't just a kidnapper. He's a cleaner for a trafficking ring out of Chicago." The detective leaned in, blocking Logan's view of the squad cars. "And Logan, he didn't invoke his right to an attorney. He invoked you." Logan's blood ran cold. "What?" "He gave us a phone number," the detective said, handing Logan a slip of paper. "He said if you want to know where your missing daughter is, you better answer the first time he calls." The revelation hit Logan like a sledgehammer. The air in the store suddenly felt too thin to breathe. He stared at the slip of paper, the numbers blurring, and the old nightmare, the one he'd spent a decade riding away from, came crashing back into the present. The last thing Logan Pierce wanted was to stick around for the applause. The police station was a hive of activity, ringing phones, slamming doors, stale coffee in the air, industrial cleaner on the floor. He stood in the corner, a dark shape against the cinder block wall, watching the clock. His hand trembled slightly, hovering near the pocket where he'd shoved the detective's note. He felt like a caged animal, the adrenaline of the rescue curdling into dread and fury. Then the double doors flew open. A woman burst in. She looked like she hadn't slept in a week. Eyes red-rimmed, hair pulled back in a messy bun, a waitress uniform she hadn't had time to change out of. This was Elena. She didn't ask the officers where to go. She saw the small figure sitting on the metal bench, swinging her legs, and she broke. The sound she made wasn't a word. It was a guttural animal cry of relief. A sound that sucked the air out of the room. She hit her knees, wrapping her arms around Mia, so tight it looked like she was trying to absorb the girl back into her own body. "I've got you," she sobbed, rocking back and forth. "I've got you, baby. I'm here." Logan felt a lump form in his throat, sharp and jagged. This was the moment that usually happened in movies, the moment the hero steps forward to take a bow. But Logan just felt the sudden crushing weight of his own history. The image of Elena holding Mia burned him, a reminder of everything he had lost. And everything Alexander had just threatened to dangle in front of him.
Now get out.
He scrubbed a calloused hand over his face, hiding the moisture in his eyes, and he turned toward the exit. He didn't belong in this picture. He pushed through the glass doors. The humid night air hit him like a physical blow. He was reaching for his cigarettes when he heard the door open behind him.
Don't be late.
"Hey," a small voice. Logan turned. Mia had slipped away from her mother for a second. She walked up to him, looking tiny next to his towering leather-clad frame. She didn't look scared anymore. She reached into the pocket of her dirty pink dress and pulled out a small plastic charm, a cheap, glittery angel. The kind you'd get from a quarter machine at a laundromat. She reached up, placing it in his massive, scarred palm. "You're my biker angel," she whispered. Her eyes were serious, carrying a wisdom no 6-year-old should have. "You saw me." Logan looked at the cheap plastic trinket like it was a diamond. He didn't know what to say. He wanted to tell her he wasn't an angel, that he was a man who had done terrible things, a man running from a past bound to catch up. But he just nodded, forcing a crooked, pained smile. "You take care of your mom, kid," he rasped. He turned and walked to his bike, boots echoing on the asphalt. He didn't look back. In the days that followed, the story went viral. The local news cycle couldn't get enough of it. The Angel of Aisle 4. They played the security footage on a loop, the hulking biker stepping between the predator and the prey. For the suburbs, it was a feel-good fluff piece. For Logan, it was a resurrection. For the first time in 10 years, the silence in his head wasn't deafening. He would ride past that grocery store, the engine of his Harley vibrating through his chest, and he'd reach down to touch the keychain where he'd clipped the plastic angel. It was a reminder, a tether to the good side of the line. He told himself this was it. He had balanced the scales. He had found his peace. He was wrong. 3 weeks later, Logan was sitting in a roadside diner, nursing a black coffee. The local news was playing on the TV, mounted in the corner. They were doing a follow-up segment on the grocery store hero, showing a clear, high-definition photo of Logan's face, a bystander's snapshot. Logan watched himself on the screen, feeling a strange prickle on the back of his neck. He wasn't the only one watching. His phone buzzed on the table. A text message. Blocked ID. Logan picked it up, frowning. He didn't get texts. He opened the message, and the blood in his veins turned to ice water. It was a picture of the TV screen, his face on the news. Underneath, a single line of text. "We thought you were dead, Logan. See you soon."